Hey everybody, happy Monday, May 18th, or whenever you happen to be watching this. I'm here today to talk to you about our pandemic history in the making project and how to do it. First thing you're going to do is go to your Google Classroom. I'm here at my 7th hour ELA Google Classroom and I have a tab at the top. Um, and in that tab, when I click on it, there are four different things, three documents and one slideshow. And we're going to look at all four of them today real quickly. First, I'm going to go to the one that's entitled Project. So the project overview looks like this. At the top, you're going to see the span of time that we'll be working on this. It's a 2-week project, an explanation sheet link, and also a choices descriptions link. There's also an overview of the expectations. And if you scroll down, it's got kind of a day-by-day guide as to what you could be doing to finalize your project. The good news is the majority of your project's already done because you're going to be using the same Google slide that you did your journal entries on. So let's get into it. First of all, when I click on this explanation sheet, it has an explanation of the project itself. And this is kind of important to look at closely. This project is going to focus on the pandemic and your experiences with it. You're going to continue to work on your Google slide. First of all, you're going to create a cover slide, and it should include title, pandemic history in the making, and by your name. This is pretty easy to do. I'm going to show you how to do it real quickly, at least how to add a slide, and you'll see what it should look like. Next slide is going to be a letter to your audience. This letter should provide a summary of the main events and your experiences with those, introducing the audience to your project, kind of welcoming them in. Next, you're going to have the 5 journal entries from the last 2 weeks. So most of you, if not all of you, have already done this part, so you should be good to go. And then you're going to add 3 projects from the list below. You're going to, in the end, have a total of 10 slides minimum, and you can add pictures and visuals and whatnot to add to your slideshow. Make sure to check over your spelling, capitalization, etc., because people are going to be looking at this. Remember, you're going to choose a total of 3, at least 3 from the list. Remember, the theme of your project is a pandemic, and one thing you cannot do is you cannot do 3 of the same exact thing. So if you, for instance, under poetry here is one of the options, a haiku poem, you can't write 3 haikus as your final project. You can pick 3 different types of poems to do if you want. As I'm saying here, we have poetry, graphic writing, um, letter writing, narrative writing, informational writing, and an oral presentation like a TED Talk that we did just before we ended up in this mess. Um, and if you have an idea that's not on this list, please talk to your teacher, email your teacher to see if that would be okay, and we'll probably work with you on that. Now, to learn a little bit more about this, launching from the project overview is the choices and description sheet. So when we look at that, you're going to see descriptions of each option. So some of the things you might be familiar with, some of them you are not. You're going to see links to a few of the different types of poetry and the wanted poster embedded in this document, but we don't have links for everything because most of it's pretty self-evident. You could record yourself doing a rap. There's descriptions for all the poetry and all the different types of writing that you would do. Please look this over carefully, read this carefully before you make your choices so you're doing what you think you're going to do your best possible work on. There's letter writing, again, narrative writing, informational writing, and the oral presentation. You choose which 3 look best to you. The one thing we'll say it again is you can only do each of the options once. Okay, you can do 3 options from the same category, but you cannot do the 3 options more than once. All right, next, let's take a look at that slideshow. All right, so here's my model slideshow. And in order to add slides, it's very simple. You just click in the top left corner to add a slide, and you can actually move the slides up and down and around as you see fit. So I actually use the same background that was originally on here, and I have my title page here. The next slide I have is my letter, my welcome letter to the audience. Welcome to my pandemic experience. I have a couple of pictures here that I incorporated, and I have a letter to the audience kind of setting the stage for the rest of the project. After that, I have my 5 journal entries. When I first heard about the coronavirus, when I found out school was closed, first week at home, the community, and my feelings about it. Now, these 5 things, we all should have had them done already, so a lot of it's already been done. Next, I move into the multi-genre part, the 3 extra choices for my project. And for the first one, I'm going to do an acrostic poem. Now, I decided I was going to write this on a doc because sometimes it's just easier to write on a doc than a slideshow. If you choose to do that, I want to show you how to add, how to paste from a doc. So first, here's a pandemic acrostic poem that I wrote. An acrostic poem, once again, means that each line of the poem starts with the letter of a word that you're trying to use. So I chose pandemic. And so I'm going to just go ahead and hit Control A and Control C. I'm going to go back to my slideshow. I'm going to click right here where it says Add Text. And I'm going to hit Control V to paste it in there. And as you can see, now I have my acrostic poem on the slide. My next slide, I chose a top 10 things to do when stuck in quarantine. So it's a top 10 list. To view this list, I embedded a link because I chose to use images and memes to try to make it kind of funny with my list, and you could do the same kind of thinking if you'd like. And so I made it a link that the user will have to open up in order to get there and check out. Please do check that out. My next choice, my third one, I decided to do a thematic poem with image background. Now for this one, I also need to link it in. So I'm going to take you right to the poem itself. And this is the poem I wrote called Hope. And in order to link it in there, I'm going to need to, as I did do this on a document, it takes a little work to do a thematic poem with an image background. So I'm just going to walk you through the linking stage here. So I need to go to File, I need to go to Share, and I want to make sure I have a link sharing on. It should show up as something that you can add here, okay? And then when I copy the link, I should hit, and it makes it so that the link is only shareable in Ashwaubenon. That's what I want. I can hit Done. And now I'm going to go back to my slideshow. And right where I wrote click link to view, I'm just going to go ahead and hit Control V, and it's going to link it right in there for me. So now I have that link shared onto my slides. Couple bells and whistles. Most of you know that you can add, if you click on slide, you can add transitions. I'm going to show you how those work in a minute. If you click on this little thing here and you're in a text box, you can change the colors. Obviously, if you click inside a text box and you Control A, you can go ahead and change the color of your font. You can also change the type of your font. For instance, I'm going to change my font there. I have a title here of a poem, so I'm going to go ahead and underline that, and I'm going to maybe change that one. I think I want to make the title a little bit bigger, so I can make the title bigger. Maybe change the color on it, and then voila, now I feel a little better about it. Okay, and then the last thing I did is not a requirement, but I added a kind of a thank you slide at the end. And if you want to do that, go for it. But now, last thing I want to show you is I added those transitions and how this can look as a whole slideshow. So yes, you'll be pausing and stopping and reading, but if you want the whole experience, it looks like this. Oh, hold on, I'm going to have to go bigger. There we go. I might look a little better. Okay, so, oops. We'll start from the beginning here. Sorry about that. Bear with me. Okay, so from the beginning, here's my slideshow, and I added some transitions to it, as you can see. And you can kind of play with the transitions as you see fit, moving along through your presentation. Really want to try to take ownership over this project and make it your own so that you're proud of what you've finished up. So That about does it for me today. I appreciate you listening and tuning in. Please touch base with your teacher if you have questions moving forward. We are here to help. We really want you to feel proud of what you've done in creating this project and look forward to hearing from you soon.